Candy Shaw, in my words, is a mother. She's a wife. She's an educator. The most important thing of Candy Shaw is she's a mentor and she's a coach. And I think that's something I carry in such high regard. My father's been a hairdresser for almost 60 years, actually, and I never went to beauty school. And in Georgia, you could apprentice and you could follow that method of becoming a hairdresser. So Candy Shaw, the person, never went to college, never went to beauty school. I'm a street punk. I mean, really, I was born out of the will and desire to become something. I learned from some of the greatest hairdressers. I was so blessed to spend time with the Vidals and the Horst Reckelbeckers and the John and Susie Chadwicks of the world. I mean, I was really blessed that my parents sent me away to break bread with all these industry greats. I myself am still behind the chair and love that. That is a part of who I am, and that's a part of something that I don't think I ever want to change. It keeps a pulse on what consumers want and what your staff wants and what learners want. I see between 25 and 35 guests a day. I love that part of my business. I have one salon in Atlanta. I have 50 chairs. It's 50-year young. Balayage is like the little black dress. It's not going away. I mean, truly, it is a revolution. And I've been in this industry long enough to see scissors be long and Vidal make the scissors short. I mean, my own father was in the garage cutting the tips off of scissors. He was a barber and he was wanting to cut hair with the small scissor. I've also been in this industry long enough to see the cap, and I pulled hair through a cap. And then I saw actually saran and clips. And then it went and evolved to foil highlighting. So you asked me the question, why balayage? And I tell you, it's the next revolution of how hairdressers are going to see image, trend, and beauty. I just literally organically grew as a hair painter. Being a painter is something that I am outside of the world of hairdressing as well. It's something that I've always had a passion for. I'm actually severely dyslexic, if you want to know the truth. And for me, everything was about vision and about seeing an image and trying to replicate that. And I was painting hair before painting hair was cool. 20 years, people would look at me like, you've lost your mind. We're putting foils in, why are you painting hair? But to me, it was freedom. And artistic freedom and hair color was just something that just really related to me. It just permeated with me because I was such a person of learning through sight and not, something that was a technical aspect. I have many sayings, and one is, paint your way to financial freedom. Everybody wants to make more money. I mean, I don't ever see a show of hands of anybody who wants to work longer hours. They all want to work less and make more. And I think our world is so built on a drive-in society now. We're so quick to have everything at our fingertips. So why not have hair color that is quick and efficient as well? I think it's a consumer-driven thing that, of course, celebrity red carpet hair is that. But I think it's really more than that. As a salon owner, you really need to understand the benefit of what you're giving to your staff. And that is not only the freedom to be an artist, but also the ability to earn more through your existing clientele and the ability to put your mark on something that can't be replicated across the street.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Bali Lama, Candy Shaw.
Hello, Birmingham. It's so great to be here. I'm so excited. My gosh, you got up out of bed and you're here at 10 a.m. That says a lot about what you think about your industry and what you think about being a hairdresser. Give yourself a hand. So I'm super excited to be here with you this morning. I've been on this massive show. I feel like Beyonce, you know, like I need a bus. I really like a plane, actually. But nonetheless, I'm super excited to end my show tour of 2016 here in Birmingham. My mother was from Lynette, Alabama, and my roots are here, and I am a war eagle. I don't know if that might make any of you mad, but I do want to say that on behalf of my son. Okay, Bama too. I'll give you that. But nonetheless, I'm super excited to be here and share some of the ideas of what I do in Boliage. And I first want to say to you is, if you know anything about Candy Shaw, you know that there is nothing I do that is weird, wacky, and wild. You know, because to me, I can't make money on that. And I'm all about making money behind the chair and what that is. So I applaud you for coming to see a stylist that's going to teach you some things about what you can do in the salon every day with salon-friendly, celebrity-friendly, commercial-friendly hair. So first, I want to present to you a double dip red that I've done. Come on up. And I want to talk to you a little bit about Hayden's hair and how I go about double dipping reds. I feel like reds sometimes can always be a challenge for stylists behind the chair. Sometimes we have issues with the vibrancy of them. So just like you put on fingernail polish and you actually do a second coat of polish, I am all about double dipping my reds. So she came in as sort of a warm brown with an old kind of ombre type of look on the ends, if you see there in the picture. And I went in and I actually painted two tones. I painted a direct dye, and I'm going to give you the formulations in a moment, so if you want to get your camera out and take a picture of the formulation, you can do so. But I painted a direct dye in with my balayage, all at the same time while I had a base color on her hair. So if we'll go to the next slide and we'll show. So on the regrowth, I've used a Wella hair color, 643 and 60. And one of the things that I want to bring up to you is that 10 volume is really something you should always want to turn to sometimes when you're doing reds for the purposes of hot roots. So I always do 10 volume on the regrowth when I'm applying reds. Then I go in and put my 20s and 30s to punch the color through to the end. Then I balayage some relights in the hair, so using both of those tonalities, I balayage. And then I do a process I call where I double dip the red, and I actually put another coat of red all over everything. This is something I do every day in the salon. This is a really super salon-friendly type of way to go about it. It's a very quick service, and you can make a great living doing just that. Thank you, Hayden. Give her a hand. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up Emmy. So, of course, Emmy is the typical everyday, the guest that we love in the salon, the one that has the, you know, beautiful hair. She brings in the Victoria's Secrets ad. She wants to look like the girls on Pinterest. But what I want you to take away from this is one of the things about blondes is when we're foiling hair, we tend to always get to where we become solid. So then our guest comes back in and she says to you, you know, I really like my hair blonde, but I want more shadow. I want more contrast in the hair. So what I did here was I actually placed a base all over Emmy's hair, and I did the base to create the shadow first. One of the things that we say in the balayage world is that foil is spaghetti and balayage is lasagna. So for us, it's painting, really, really big pieces in that formulation to create the breaks in the hair. And if we could go back to the slide that actually has that, you can see how I have these big triangles in the hair. Now, this is a very important thing because when your guest comes in and she says, I want contrast, and even if you're doing foils and you do what I call the 2-to-1, where you do 2 highs, 1 low, 2 highs, 1 low, when you're pulling low lights through to the ends, you tend to get murky hair. You get flat hair colors. So what balayage allows you to do, if you see me painting these big V's such as this gets the shadow in and lets the ends be lighter and brighter. Your guest will be much happier with the transition if this is actually how you go about doing it. And of course, on the front piece, or the second piece of her hair, that is a process that we do called skimming. And that skimming process I did not do on this side of her hair. So this side, I kept the dark onto the hair, left the dark from within, and I'm going to talk to you about a back fold in a minute on another one of my models. But on this side, I did skim the hair, so I actually did get the hairline. And that skimming technique is what creates and makes that look like tiny little baby lights, if you will, so that it doesn't look chunky monkey around the hairline. And then when she goes to put her sunglasses up on her hair, she's going to be happy. You know the guest that goes from the shampoo bowl directly to the mirror after you've highlighted her hair and she goes like that and like that to make sure that you got it close enough? Well, a skimming technique is a technique you can use all over the hair to make the hair super blonde, as well as paint hairlines in the hair so that you can make sure to get all those little baby hairs. I'm going to be in the classroom today at 12:45 for another look and learn, and I'm actually going to be on a mannequin head, and I'm going to be showing this technique if you're interested in doing so. I'm also going to paint a little hair for you here today. But I want you to know that there is also a look and learn, a hands-on class that has a few spots left this afternoon if you're interested in that as well. So thank you, Emmy. Give her a hand. Okay, and so now I have Natalia, and so I really want to teach all the balayagers of the world that you can still use the Sunlights Lightener and do fantasy colors. And if you can see, like in her before picture, her previous color had a lot of gold, a lot of gray, from the gray tint that somebody had colored her hair from the past. So I went all over the hair, obviously, and I did what I call a double bleaching. Now, my father was a competition hairdresser, and his whole career, they were masters at that Marilyn Monroe beautiful pearl light color. And how they did it was they did it twice. They also did another process where they actually put milk in the hair. But we won't go about that. I didn't do that here. But nonetheless, so when I'd scalp bleached on Natalia's hair, I did it once. I got it to a really great stage. I washed it out, and then I did it again. It's just that little extra lift that it sort of needed. And then you could see in the fantasy tone that I used here, some limoncello, I just placed a little bit of yellow, I wonder why, in her hair there. So let's look at the formulation here on Natalia's hair. So you can see 2 times scalp lightener, 20 volume. Then, of course, a glaze to pearlize with a pastel developer. Another really good colorist trick to use a pastel developer that's a very low developer so that when you are putting your glazes on or your toners on, you're actually kissing the hair instead of hammering the hair. So the 1069 made everything pearl. And then I went in with the limoncello and a little bit of 20 volume, and I just added the accent of yellow. Now, obviously, I could make this 10 different tones, 10 different colors, but nonetheless, this just gives me something fun and something French. My whole training comes from French haircutting. I have an academy in Atlanta, Georgia, where I teach not only cutting and coloring and balayage. I know that a lot of people think that I only color hair, but actually I'm very passionate about cutting hair as well. So if you're close and would like to come down to see us in Atlanta, we would love to have you. Thank you, Natalia. Give her a hand, please. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about Taylor, and I always have what I call my Sunlights girl, and I want to explain to you, you might be asking yourself, like, why is part of her hair straight and why is part of her hair curled? But there's a reason for that, because I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. I don't get up here to try to show you some smoke and mirror. I really want you to learn as stylists behind the chair as to how you can get the looks that your clients are asking for. But one thing that I'm always notice is every morning when I get up to do my social media and I pick up my phone and I begin to scroll, the thing I see the most is the back of people's heads with curls. Would you agree? Like when you're scrolling through hairdos, it's the back of her head and it's some curls. Now, why do we curl hair? We curl hair to show off the dark and the light. You see, I've made it happen here for you to see that right there, the dark and the light. But we also curl hair for another reason, don't we? What is that? To hide things. Has that ever happened to you guys? You're behind the chair, you worked really fast, maybe you're just trying to balayage for the first time, you're trying to do some free hand painting, you get done and you got a little oopsie. And you go, oh, oopsie. Well, actually, you say an explicative, but I don't think it'd be nice for me to say that. You run back in the dispensary and you pray to the color gods. And you go find the color gods and you say, please let me get a toner that'll cover that oopsie, because I really don't have time to go back and really do this. So what do? We tell our guests, you know what, today we're going to curl your hair. I think that would look lovely. Yes, I know you're going to work out, but I think it'll look great at the gym. But nonetheless, there's a reason for that. And I want to teach you about seamless balayage. So when I say in the balayage world, the seamlessness of balayage, and I'm sure the camera is sort of catching this right now, and the fact that I can hold that hair together and not really know where it starts and where it stops, that is the secret to the perfect balayage. Now, one of the things that I'm also looking for is where the hair breaks open. And you can see it really good on my hair sometimes, just how it moves and breaks, where that bob or where that hair swings and breaks open. So to train your eye to balayage well, you have to be willing to start looking at where the breaks are, where the peaks and the valleys live, so that when you blow dry your balayages, it always looks very seamless. And then, of course, if I wanted to take this and go all the way to the scalp, of course I could. I want to make sure that I'm clear. Balayage is a technique. Ombre is a look. They are two different things. So I can take this highlight high, low, wherever I want it, based on what it is that I am trying to emulate in the balayage itself. But I do want to show you that the reason why you have to train your eye to know the peaks and the valleys and the seamless and the breaks is that you have to learn how to paint ridges. And nobody really teaches you that on Instagram with all the Instagreats that are now balayage artists. But if you see in my second picture, and if you guys will go to the slide, you can see how the ridge is on the front end of the crochet that I paint, and it's on this side of the hair. So as I paint that hair in a V, I'm really looking for the up and the down and how hair is going to move throughout that balayage. You'll also notice in the last picture that my perforated wrap is folded in, and that is called a back fold. So you know that when you have a guest and she says to you in the salon, I want a few highlights underneath, and I say to her, well, honey, the sun doesn't really shine under there, and that's the worst place to put a foil line, because the second you pull that up into a ponytail, there's going to be a big line, excuse me, Taylor, underneath. But what she really wants underneath is this. You see this? So when you're in the salon and you're doing a partial, You're only doing the tops and you're stopping. And what happens is when you blow dry dark hair, all underneath is dark. So she sees this hair more like that, all down here. Are you with me? So by doing a back fold, what I do is I turn the hair back after I've completely painted the entire head of hair. And now you can begin to see, just by me breaking this open, how I am more underneath in the balayage. So once I do that, I'm going to fold that hair in, and I'm going to back fold it, and I'm going to paint this. And I'm going to teach this today in my classroom at 12:45 if you're interested to go. But at that point, it helps you to brighten that underneath. But also, if you will, now you can begin to see what the ridges of the balayage is and where the color lives. So when you see me teaching, you'll always, as my students, I'll always say, where does the color live? You've got to understand where that color lives in that hair, and that's what creates the brightness. Now, if I just held this hair down and I just painted on top of it, it's going to be a line. Have any of you ever had lines in your balayages? So it's very important that I paint the ridge, not the top. Is that making sense to you? So there's just a different way, and we'll be in our booth today as well, 1700, so that you can come and look at this hair even a little closer and kind of study how that placement of color lives within that hair and how those ridges are. We'll also be painting some mannequins there as well. So don't you love that? And that is something where, thank you, that is something where that is what your guest is wanting. And when you're curling it, you're actually pushing the dark down and bringing the light up. But you must train your eye to know how to do it straight. Okay? Thank you, Taylor. Okay, are you guys ready for me to paint a little hair for you? Yes. Okay, thank you, ladies. So now I will bring out Ansley and my group here, and I will try to get somewhat organized. And you know I am the Bali Llama. I love that little nickname that I've been given since I've been painting hair so long. So I said to myself, what am I going to bring to Birmingham? And I said, let me tell you something. I'm going to bring them a technique that they can make some more money. Anybody ready to make more money? Yeah. And guess what? The Bali Llama brought a shampoo bowl on the stage. And that is unprecedented because nobody has ever done that. And I want to thank Takara Belmont for loaning me a wonderful shampoo bowl to put on the stage. So my beautiful model Ansley here is going to have a seat. And I'm going to teach you a technique that I've trademarked called Boliage. Okay? Y'all didn't laugh very much. You must not have had coffee. Okay, so Boliage is a wonderful technique that you can make quick money on. So you know how your guest comes in the salon and she has to cover her gray, or maybe she's in a hurry, she's going on a vacation, or she just wants a quick partial. Well, if you know anything about me, you know I will never use the word partial, because partial to me means half price, means half of a good thing. Sometimes it means a little half-ass. So I don't actually ever use that word in my terminology in my salon in Atlanta, just because to me, I'm a hair painter. I'm not a partial artist. And you don't give a partial haircut. A shoe designer doesn't give you one shoe. You know, the dress is not halfly made or partially made, and the art piece is not partially done. So for me, it's super important to come up with great ways to change your terminology behind the chair. And so this is called Boliage. So I'm going to lay my Amazon woman back. Lord, you are so tall and beautiful. And I'm going to let my little cameraman come and watch me do this. So here's the typical girl. Okay, Ansley in school, wants to have a little sizzle, wants to just brighten up what she's already got. And for me, I feel like she needs her hairline, her part line, and I just got to tighten this just a little bit. Her hairline and her part line to make this better. Say if she were to have a base color on her hair, and you know you shampoo out your base color and your guest has what I call ring around the rosies, because she's got the dark line for where you just touched up her gray, and now the highlights are on the ends and her regrowth is dark. Well, in this case, let's move this over just a little bit. We will, of course, have some dark. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lightener, I'm going to apply it to my brush. I am going to take my paintbrush, just like this, and just for my little cameraman here, I want to show you how the lightener goes onto the brush. Notice there's nothing on this side, and there is something on this side. So you always want to make a dome. So the dome is exactly the size of the dome is the size of the streak. Smaller the dome, smaller the streak. Bigger the dome, bigger the streak. Okay? So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to begin by riding the ridge, which is what I just taught you. And I'm going to paint in on Ansley's hair this hairline. Okay, so I'm just going to come in, dome it, pinch it, hold it at the throat, tap at the regrowth, rub in the middle, and push to the ends. Again, I take a little J, see that? It's like a little J. So now I have my perfect dome. I'm going to pick the hair up. I'm going to tap. I'm going to rub. Why I rub in the middle is because it's the cold shaft of the hair, and I'm going to push. J, finger, tap, rub, and into the reservoir, onto the paddle, side to side. Now you'll notice that my paddle is always this way. My paddle is not a foil board. It never goes this way. It always goes this way. Why? Because I want this triangle at the end of my paddle right here. This triangle is what's going to go into the back part of the hair. So if I have a triangle, I won't have a line in the back. Okay, so I'm going to take the product again. Take my brush, nice little J, and here I'm going to hold this out, and I'm going to begin to skim. So I'm holding this whole section here, getting my product ready, and I'm going to begin to skim this hairline. So lightly by touching this hairline on this side, I am skimming. So we have a word in the balayage, well, we have many sayings, but one of my sayings, if it's not white, it's not light. So if you do not make it white on the hair, you're not going to have the lift that you want. And you can see how I'm just handling all of those little bitty tiny baby hairs that she probably broke off from the flat iron because she looked too long in the mirror while she was doing her hair. So now I'm just going to bring that all out. I'm going to take my loader brush. Come on around, Ansley. Not you, wrong Ansley. We have two Ansleys on the stage. Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm going to take my loader brush, just like so, and my loader brush is going to allow me to really add that extra product on. Drop into the reservoir, onto the paddle, and out on the shampoo bowl. Do you see that? So now I'm going to add a little bit more, and I'm going to come right here, right on this hairline, and I'm going to get this piece. Okay? We also have a saying that we say in the Bali world, which is called consistency, brushstroke, and saturation. So if you're having challenges behind the chair painting hair, you have to check into your consistency, your brushstroke, and your saturation. The consistency of the product is number one. I'm going to go on this side, sir, so I'm going to need to walk around you here. Your brush stroke is number two, and the saturation of the hair is number three. One of the greatest things I use is a little thing called a baby wipe. It'll save you on towels, it'll save you on laundry, it'll save you on a lot of things. Okay, so now you can see that my guest is just laying back in the bowl, and now I am just painting this hairline. Now in a moment, I'm going to sit her up, and I'm going to paint the T-zone of the top, and I'm going to paint her ends so that I can add more lightness to her ends. And once I get done painting her and finishing her up today, you'll be able to come by the booth and see exactly what this did. Okay, so now again, into the reservoir, lay it onto the bowl. The bowl becomes a wonderful comb for me. What happened to my light? All right. Okay, so pushing and onto the reservoir, into the paddle, and up. Okay, so now I've done my Boliage just on the front. So now I'm going to sit Ansley up, and now you can see the ridges that live within her hair. Come around here, Ansley. Not you. You're fine. You stay seated. Okay. And now I'm going to come right into the top part of her hair, and I'm going to add some energy. Okay, so I just take that same approach, and then I'm going to teach you a little bit about a traveler. And now, see, when she sat up, her hair parted exactly where her natural hair wants to part. So that helps me a lot. Oh, there's my light. It came back. Huh? Okay, so there we go. And there we are. Okay. And loader brush. Always get close to me. And here we go. Through to the ends. So you can see now, just by doing that, I've began to get her ready for her quick vacation or anything that she wants in the salon. And this is an upgrade service that you can use very quickly. So I do this sometimes on dry hair as well as wet hair. So say, for instance, I have a lady who I just did a base color on. I can come back over her, towel dry her hair, and paint that just like that. Okay, one right here in the place I call the money piece. That's in the crown. That's the place where you know if you don't paint the money, you don't make the money. So it's very important to always be identifying that place on the head that when your guest is looking in the mirror, she loves to do like this. You know? So she purses her lips and she knows you hit the money. And you know when you hit the money. Okay, now I'm going to move. You stay where you are. I'm going to just move around. I got to move with my camera here. And now I'm going to hit this part of the hair. So he can be right on top. Tilt your head back, Ansley. Sorry about that neck, honey. You're young. You can handle it. All right, so now I'm going to just come right on through, just like so. Add a little bit more with my loader brush, and come right on through. And I'm just hitting all these key things. One thing I love about my brush is it's got a tail comb on it, so the tail comb on the end is going to allow you very easily to part that hair off and to begin to paint what you need to paint. Now, this is not necessarily what she's going to do every single time she comes into the salon, but this is a service that can allow you to paint the ridges of her hair and to get those areas that need a little attention. I would add this service on to an existing haircut. You would just need an extra 10 minutes to paint it. And so it's not going to ruin your book, so to speak, when you begin to worry about, well, am I going to have time to cut and color? All right, now, sweetheart, we're going to stand up. Okay, and you're going to come right back here. And, sir, you're going to come right back here with us as well, and you're going to hold on. Okay, so I'm going to just let her hold on for a second. And I am going to go on some of these ends. And now I am going to paint the ends. And so this is just going to add a little bit of extra something something to Ansley's ends. Picking up just randomly in the areas just to freshen. Okay, so now I'm in. And I'm going to add a little bit more. And you can see how nice long brush strokes with my balayage, dropping right into the reservoir, right into the hair. And these are brochet pieces that I'm doing now. Certainly I can do a crochet. But here, as you see, I want to travel with the streak that I just painted. So from the top, there is my highlight. Now my highlight is going to travel down onto the hair. And now I'm going to complete that streak that I started from the top by just adding the Sunlights lightener on. Now, I created this lightener because foil lighteners have a silica in them. And this is clay base. It has kaolin clay in it. I'm from Georgia, so red Georgia clay is a wonderful thing to use. The clay makes it nice and smooth. It goes on nice and smooth. It dries out on the outside, stays moist on the inside, and lifts the hair. So I encourage you to come by and learn more about it and learn more about Sunlights and why Sunlights has brought a lot of joy to the balayage world and to the balayage believers in the world. Okay, so now I'm just going to add a little bit more here. I'm going to go to the other side in just 1 second and do just a little bit there. Okay, so now you can start to see the whole thing come alive. Okay, now I'm going to just take all of that together. So I've got that whole section. I'm going to do a process I call shoestringing, where I shoestring it together. That gets the tangles out. And then I'm going to begin to paint. So now I'm going to paint on the ends, just like that, continuing with my traveler and adding more lightener there and bringing that hair down. And now I need to travel just with this little piece right here. I'm going to get my little handy baby wipe, keeping me nice and clean. You can see that my paddle stays clean. That's important. And now I'm going to just add enough here to bring these two pieces together. I'm going to hold that together, and I'm going to begin by painting this end. So now I'm going to pull that, adding that, dry brushing a bit on that little piece, and then adding that into the end. So in this paint alone, I showed you Boliage, I showed you crocheting, I showed you brocheting, I showed you skimming around the face, and also I showed you traveler. So these are all different ways, and as you can see, then I can take my perforated wrap and I can just pull my wrap out. It's on a nice, strong stand. I also have those at my booth, and when I pull, sir, you can move back just a little bit because I'm going to run into you. And when I pull the perforated wrap like so, I begin to just lay that on top. And the perforated wrap comes in 3 sizes: short for short hair, medium for medium hair, long for long hair. And each section is perforated. So wherever it is that I want to do, I just pinch and tear. The nice thing about it is it's a window to which to look through. You could see your work, and it's also a heat source, so it helps you with heat. So I get a lot of questions from my balayage believers out there about heat. And one of the things that I will tell you is the types of heat I use are a roller ball made by Takara Belmont. I also use a Climazone. I also use infrared lights if I'm in a salon that has those. But if you're in a challenge with a little bit of heat, you can always turn your dryer on for about 10 minutes and then turn it off. Tear me a piece, Ansley. And then turn it off and sit your guest under a non-forced heat dryer. That will help you to heat your balayages up.
So now I'm just covering that, just that little bit, and that would be a quick, and you can see now, if you look at the slide, you can see how that can just be a very, very quick service in the salon called Boliage. So Ansley, if you'll just take a quick walk down and show them Boliage. And you could take this. All right. Okay. Here you go, Kayla. Okay, so Boliage and any of these techniques are just incredible ways for you to learn how to do balayage. And I love to answer your questions. Obviously, I can't on a main stage. So please try to come back and see me a little bit in the classroom today if you want to see. I'm going to be teaching all those kinds of things. And let me just get out of this little monkey suit real quick. And then, if I might pass this around, please. Kayla? Okay, so today I taught you a little bit about skimming. I taught you a little bit about crocheting, also taught you about balayaging, taught you about double dipping, taught you about twice putting your lightener on, I call it twice baked potato, taught you about fantasy colors, talked to you a little bit about heat. I talked to you about pricing. Pricing to me is not using the word partial. And how you price your highlights in the salon is really and truly important for you to know that once you become a great balayage artist, if it's taking you 45 minutes to do a foil, if you can paint hair in 15 minutes, you're still going to charge the same amount of pricing. But the last thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is professionalism. I think if you know Candy and you know who I am, you know that I have a little bit of a hair ministry out there because I always talk about the professionalism of our industry and how it's super important that if we want to drive the prices up, that we have to work harder at what we do. Do you know that hairdressers do not have an Oscar for hair? There's an Oscar for makeup. There's an Oscar for set design, and there's an Oscar for clothing. But there's not an Oscar for hairdressers. So every time I get into the classroom or on a main stage, I always want to talk to my hairdressers out there about raising the bar behind the chair. And what that means is that we can't go to work in flip-flops and bedazzled sweatpants and ask for more money. We just can't. You know, we have to try to look the part. I always tell my kids, if you want to make $100,000 a year behind the chair, you better be going to work looking like $100,000 behind the chair. Because we really kind of got too much on the casual Friday as hairdressers. And so I'm asking you and I'm charging you to really think about, yes, you can come to this show and be casual, but when you're behind the chair, your hair needs to be done, your hair needs to be current, you need to look good. You just can't go to work looking like that. You know, it's just super important to me as a 35-year veteran behind the chair. I have a salon in Atlanta, I have 65 people, 50 chairs. And, you know, why we are booked solid and why we are busy is because of how we treat our guests and how we look. And so I ask you, from Candy Shaw to my hairdresser, balayage believers out there, for you to really share that message with the people that you're working with. And I know right now you're thinking about somebody who's not in my classroom that you wish could hear that, right? I know that there's somebody on your mind that you're thinking about that work with you that you wish that Candy could have let them hear that. But nonetheless, we're going to have a quick finale. Don't leave. I'm going to tell you one more little great piece of advice right here at the end. It's been great. Be right back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I want to thank this awesome team. You know, teamwork really does make the dream work. And I can't do what I do without all these great people that make that happen for me. Yellow truly is the color of joy for me. It makes me so happy to be able to paint hair in the salon and to make women beautiful. You know, my daddy, like I said, was a competition hairdresser, and one time he won the Grand World Supreme at the Waldorf Astoria, and he took his model in to do his competition, and that night he said it changed his life forever because he was embarrassed to be seen with his model. He had done something so crazy that he was embarrassed to be seen with her. And he took that point, and this year, my father retired after 65 years behind the chair. Amazing, amazing man. And, you know, by taking that out of that, I vowed to myself as an educator that I would never insult you with anything more than beautiful. That I would never insult hairdressers with anything more that they couldn't go back and use in their salons every day. So I leave you with the last little bit of what my father also taught me, and he was a man of wonderful wisdom and words. And I've ended every show and every classroom for the past 20 years with this saying. And that is that life is short and soon to pass, and only the things done with love will last. Love your craft, love who you are, be proud of what you charge, look the part, make us proud, and go paint some awesome hair. It's great to meet you. Come see us in the booth and classroom.